Hello,
Hello, everyone.
I'm Ashleigh,
And I'm Toniah.
and you're listening to another episode of
Hue I Do.
the podcast brought to you by your favorite cousins on the bride side. Welcome to another episode of Hue I Do, the podcast that's going to tell you all of the things that the floral designer actually does and what you need to get somebody else to do, because that ain't their job. If you couldn't tell, this is another episode, a part of our Get Somebody Else to Do It series. Y'all have been enjoying this series so much so far, and we are excited to have a very special guest chat with us all about this topic tonight. Yes, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Yanique Shaw, founder and CEO of Yanique Events, a floral and event design company in Boston, Massachusetts.
Perfect. You're up in Massachusetts. Okay. How's the weather like over there?
Ugh. It honestly depends on the week. Like, it is just one day it's like nice and warm spring day, the next day it's like back to the cold or it's rainy. I think we randomly moved to Seattle and nobody told us. It has been raining cats and dogs every day here, and I'm a little scared for the summer weddings. Last year it rained, I think, almost every Saturday in the summer, and like there was like joke. We were
Wow.
like, which event planner pissed off God and was making it rain every Saturday? It was quite a thing to get around every Saturday for sure.
Gotcha. Well, hopefully there's a lot of indoor events going on. Or if you're outside, just have a backup plan just in case. I don't know. Okay.
Always.
Well, I want to know a little bit about you. How did you become a floral designer?
So my family plans a lot of like events, a lot of birthday parties. We're just big celebrators, I guess. And I was just an older sister, so I guess I'm just naturally bossy a little bit. Well, leader. I'm a leader. And I just kind of took over the decor aspects for every time we did these events. And then people just randomly thought that's what I did for a living, because the job that I had, I would also do like small community events too. And then I had my friends trying to hire me to do their events. And I was like, maybe I should look into this. And so I thought I would be an event planner until I realized it's a lot of hand holding, and God bless event planners. I don't know how they do it. But my favorite thing to do when I was an event planner was the floral arrangements. Like, I did kind of everything myself. I did not know better back then. Um, and then I had a friend of mine teach a floral workshop, and I attended it, and I just absolutely fell in love. And I was like, I think this is what I need to be doing. Because when I took the arrangement home, I kept readjusting it like every day. And I was just like, yeah, this just feels really good. And it's just so peaceful. And I was like, I'm going to look more into this. And right before the pandemic hit, I got to go to a floral workshop, like literally March 1st, 2020, like that first week before we all locked down. I was in South Carolina attending this amazing workshop that Michelle Summers from Michelle Summers Designs does in South Carolina. And I just fell in love, and I came back home. Everything was shut down. And I really got to take that time to really like build my business up and create a website. And I made like a 1-year exit plan out of my job, my marketing job. That's what I went to school for and worked so hard to get. And I was just like, yeah, it wasn't for me anymore. Like, I found my passion.
Wow. That's impressive. Like, did you stick to your goal, like your deadline of a year?
I did. And what really encouraged me was Mother's Day. We were all in lockdown, so like so many stores were closed. So I just did like a lot of online sales. You had nowhere else to shop but to little me. So I got a ton of orders. I got a lot of orders, and that really like encouraged me. I was like, I can make a lot of money doing this, and I love it too. And I told my mom, I was like, I gotta quit my job. And she was like, relax. You need to make a plan. And I'm very fortunate to have a entrepreneur mom who's had her own hair salon for 26 years. So she was just kind of like, one step at a time. Let's figure out. You ain't just gonna quit your job. And I was also very fortunate to reach out to other local floral designers in my area and just let them know, like, I took this workshop and I think I got it. And can I, work on your team? And they took a chance with me. And I was very lucky that we were during the pandemic, so I know they were home. So
yeah.
So I'm I'm where I am because of the people that invested in me when I was just starting out.
Wow. That's such a blessing.
Well, it's time for everyone's favorite game that we play every single week. This or that, where basically you choose between one option or the other and you explain why. So, Yanique, you're going to go first. Then it's going to be Toniah's turn. Then it'll be mine. Just quick 2 rounds. Then we'll get into the questions. All right. So, first, trying to stick with the theme of the episode. Would you prefer for the wedding cake to have silk florals or real florals?
Oh, I'm going to say a controversial answer and say silk flowers.
Why?
Because I think they just look better sometimes. Especially, well, okay, can I say not silk flowers? Maybe like sugar flowers.
Okay.
That's
fine.
Right.
That's fine.
And I think those could look really unique and just really special. I understand having like the real flowers because it blends with the entire decor. But I think that if we're like, I'm all about letting the creative be creative, right? So I would go with the baker and ask them to do sugar flowers.
Okay. I rock with that. That's a good answer. Toniah, what about you? Are you going with silk? You going with real? You want to go with sugar?
I don't know what sugar flowers are because like when you said it, I was like, hey, I never got that option. So I will say real.
All right. I will agree with Toniah for the same reason. I don't think I've had sugar flowers before, so I don't know. Honestly, I'd probably just go with whatever was suggested to me because that's realistically another decision I don't want to have to make. Especially if pricing wise it's going to pretty much net all the same anyway, so it doesn't matter. All right, cool. So, final round. Would you prefer to either be or have, so it's up to you, the floral designer that specializes in all types of botany, or the floral designer that has a massive rental company as well?
That's a hard one. I would say, because you could do so much with rental, I would say the one who has the rental company too, because you could really upgrade the venue, and they still have a great floral design company too, right? So they'll still do a great job. So it's like you feel like you get more bang for your buck that way.
When we do the mock-up, I feel like those items that I picked, they can bring to the mock-up and I'd be able to see like my vision in real life. You know what I mean? And not just, in pictures or like in pieces.
I agree with y'all. I thought one of us would go the botanist way, but sadly not. I like the idea of that, especially for the girls that would want to be very much like, oh, we're doing like plants and, like kind of a different approach from like maybe the standard florals that we're used to. But I feel like the in-house big rental company is going to save me money. And you're already familiar with kind of what I want design wise. So that just feels more of a seamless choice. And again, going back to what I said with the first one, it's just kind of like one less decision I have to make. You already have it all. Cool. Let's just roll with that. So, all right. that was good. We're all on the same page. All right, so now we can get into what everybody is really here for us to talk about. So, like we mentioned, this is another episode within our Get Somebody Else to Do It series. And I mean, honestly, we had to bring on a floral designer to help us process all of the things that they handle versus other vendors like our planners, the venue, and sometimes even ourselves. I mean, we all know how expensive florals are. Like, child, that's the introduction to wedding planning. Flowers are expensive. We know, they know. But beyond that, there's a lot more that goes into what they do. And so simply we need to know all about it so that you, I, the listeners, the people planning weddings or helping somebody plan their wedding know what to ask our floral designers and what to ask somebody else instead. So with that being said, let's start the conversation tonight. So, Yanique, please help us. Let's just set the table right now. What exactly is a wedding floral designer? Please let us know for those that possibly don't.
I will try my very best to break it down. It might not be perfect. But just my perspective, I think a floral designer is someone that deals with like real flowers that are perishable product. And for events, I think an event designer is someone that deals with the overall picture of the actual event itself. So, most event designers will bring in like special like table linens, napkins, backdrops, like just depending on whatever the actual event is. I do find myself teetering on both a lot, even when I'm just supposed to stick to floral design. But I do like to guide my clients to have like, a really special, wedding. And so sometimes I input my opinions when I shouldn't because I'm not charging for it. But yeah, so I think an event designer just kind of like elevates the overall events. And then a decorator, in my opinion, is someone that deals with the decor of the entire event, especially like a lot of pipe and drape, just kind of like transforming a space usually. And event designers and decorators, they usually do not touch floral. They usually hire that out, unless in the rare case they do that themselves. But from what I've seen, at least my area, they usually do not touch flowers.
What are some responsibilities that people think you should do that are generally done by the planner or coordinator?
That's a great question. So, with venues, they have a lot of like venue coordinators now, which is helpful for sure. I always wonder how event planners feel about venue coordinators, like what goes on behind the scenes. But for us, like we don't clash much with the venue coordinator, especially if there is an event planner available. Like they kind of like guide us, and a lot of times couples will drop off different things that they want set up on the tables or around the venue, and they really help us a ton. I would say, just setting up those personal items too.
What are some responsibilities that clients sometimes think you should do, but are actually the responsibility of the venue?
So I would say that if there is a room flip, so that's when if we're using the same room for a ceremony and a reception, if a room flip has to happen when the guests go into the cocktail area, so we could set up the reception area for them, the venue coordinators and like the venue team work in tandem with the floral team to ensure that the floral arrangements and everything is set up properly. I think that sometimes people think that it's just up to the florist to do that, but there's just so much responsibility with moving those giant tables, and it really is like a team dance. To be honest with you, I personally don't love a room flip, but like we were mentioning earlier, like if there is a rain situation, then that is kind of sometimes our only option is that we have to move everything indoors. So yeah.
All right. So, what are some responsibilities that people think you should do that are generally done by the rental company.
Yes. So the rental company I did get to work with, a rental company over last year with a lot of my weddings. A lot of my couples just really wanted to elevate that venue space, which is really nice. Great for photos. So the rental company that I work with, they're super professional. So they just literally took care of everything that was their own items. So all the tables, the chairs, the arches, they literally checked in with me. Where do we put this? Where do we put that? And, just got it done. I love when they're just efficient, fast, you understand the assignment basically. I would also say that being a florist that worked with a lot of arches from rental companies, that sometimes the weight distribution with real flowers in the arch can get tricky. Like I try to bring weights for my own, and sometimes the rental company does have their own weights as well to ensure that nothing falls over. But it's just like, if I could give any advice to like a rental company, it's just to make sure that you have like different options for weights, especially if you're going to have flowers on something. And just like having a great team that like works together and is a team player basically too. So that helps when everyone just knows like we're all on the same team here. I know we're different companies, but today on game day, we are all one team trying to make this vision happen.
So we've talked about all the responsibilities that, basically belong to another vendor. But what about those that some expect you to do, but are actually done by either the bride or the groom or the couple themselves?
Yeah, that's a really great question. That was a hard one for me. I would say the only time I've ever had any issues is when we're dealing with like personal memorabilia items. So a really great way to kind of represent the loved ones that are no longer with us, to have like a memorial table or have their photos on like a fireplace centerpiece, a fireplace mantle, excuse me. So I think just no, I had someone just show up with just the photos, no frames, just vibes. And we were just like, how are we supposed to display these? So luckily there was a Dollar Tree down the street. So, and a lot of things, you really have to just think fast on your feet. And then that's another back into your other question, like who takes care of that, the florist or the venue coordinator? Because technically they gave it to you and now you're giving them to me and we're just staring at each other. And so, um, so that was one of those think quick on your feet. And it was just like, here's a few dollars, rent a Dollar Tree, get some frames, let's frame this and make it look nice. Because like at the end of the day, weddings are a lot of pressure, and maybe that was on their list to do and they just completely forgot. Someone dropped the ball on that, and you just try to make it. We don't want to point fingers or blame anyone on their big day, so just always pivoting.
For sure. Oh, goodness. Thank goodness there was a Dollar Tree down the road.
Always a Dollar Tree.
I do kind of have like one other question. What is the difference, if there is one, between an event designer and a floral designer? And sometimes I'll see people call themselves decorators. Like, if you could break that down.
I will try my very best to break it down. It might not be perfect. But just my perspective, I think a floral designer is someone that deals with like real flowers that are perishable product. And for events, I think an event designer is someone that deals with the overall picture of the actual event itself. So, most event designers will bring in like special like table linens, napkins, backdrops, like just depending on whatever the actual event is. I do find myself teetering on both a lot, even when I'm just supposed to stick to floral design. But I do like to guide my clients to have like, a really special, wedding. And so sometimes I input my opinions when I shouldn't, because I'm not charging for it. But yeah, so I think an event designer just kind of like elevates the overall events. And then a decorator, in my opinion, is someone that deals with the decor of the entire event, especially like a lot of pipe and drape, just kind of like transforming a space usually. And event designers and decorators, they usually do not touch floral. They usually hire that out. unless in the rarest case they do that themselves. But from what I've seen, at least my area, they usually do not touch flowers.
I've seen all three of those, out there, and I'm like, okay.
I know, it's confusing. We got to reel it in this industry too sometimes. What is it?
Thank you for that.
All right, so last question. So what are some misconceptions about floral designers?
Great question. I think that people just think it's like this super fun, playful job. You just play with flowers all day. But it really is about, like, my coworker, I call them, these flowers are real perishable items that could die on me if I don't take care of them and give them all the TLC all the time. And I'm doing a huge event this weekend, and just the logistics of that, renting a truck, hiring the laborers, hiring a driver for the truck. How are we going to set it up? Like, and doing the recipes for every single arrangement, because you don't want to overbuy and you don't want to underbuy. I've only been doing this for 4 years, but I think I have a pretty good eye on, buying the product and knowing how much I need without necessarily doing the calculations. Like, I kind of buy it first and then I do the calculations, like, did I do it right? And it usually works out. Thank you, Jesus. But yeah, so it's just a lot of logistics, a lot of planning, a lot of math, and a lot of managing people, and then, of course, working with the venue and the event planners as well. There's a ton of communication that goes into this. Yeah, so I think the misconception is that it's like a super easy job that you just show up to and you just place flowers on a table. But there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Sometimes all three. It just depends on how the week goes. That goes into every event.
All right. So thank you so much for answering all those questions for us. We are now going to move into one vendor love.
Okay, so I would like to shout out this woman by the name of Dr. Joke Alesh. She is the owner of Primary Weddings and Events in Rhode Island, and she is not only an event planner, she's also a dentist who just opened her own dental practice last year. And also, like, a full-time mommy. Like, I see her, she's so inspiring, and I'm just like, could she do some of my work too? Like, she's just do it. She just does it all, and she's so inspiring. And I am just always watching for whatever she does next. She's just always like, the bar is always getting higher with her, and I feel like, I got to keep going too, because she has so much going on. And like, what's my excuse? So love her.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us. For those that are listening that want to get to know you more, maybe they want to inquire about working with you, please tell us any and everywhere you are and how they can reach out to you.
Sure. So I am on Instagram under Yanique Events. My website is yaniqueevents.com. You could inquire about anything there. I'm also opening a flower shop later this year in Boston, and so they could follow us at Boston Flower Co. on Instagram, bostonflowerco.com is our website. So thank you guys so much for inviting me on. I had such a great time.
Yes, thank you, and congratulations on the upcoming store, the brick and mortar. Absolutely love that. We are so excited to have you on. So thank you for all of this information. I am sure that the listeners are going to be very, very thankful, especially because, the rep that the Florals get when it comes to planning. But thank you again. For everyone listening, thanks for enjoying another episode of Hue I Do, and we'll see y'all next week. Bye. Don't forget to follow us everywhere you can. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and even YouTube. You can find us at HUIDO WED, which is Hue I Do Wed, or at Hue I Do Pod, which is HUEIDOPOD, on pretty much any of those platforms. In addition to that, if you want to know more about any of the amazing wedding vendors we've shouted out, or any of the really cool wedding vendors we've had on the show as guests, or just some awesome wedding vendors in general that maybe you don't know of, head to find.hueido.com. There, you're going to find over 600 wedding vendors that can help take you to your happily ever after. And no matter where you listen to Hue I Do, if you could, please leave us a review. It will help other bride-to-bes and other people in the wedding planning space find a podcast that speaks to them as much as Hue I Do speaks to you.